Avon Hertz is one of the most interesting characters in the GTA universe, but yet other than that he's the owner of an AI software called Clifford and a genius tech billionaire, GTA fans know very little about him. Where did this world domination mongering psychopath come from? And how did he get to where he is today? Well, for all of these questions and many more, we finally have the answers in this documentary. But to better understand where Avon comes from, we need to go back to the very beginning. Avon Hertz was born in 1979 in South Africa, but moved to the United States when he was in his early teens. For most of his life, he himself has considered himself an American, despite always having doubts about the politics and the governance of the country. Coming from the early millennial generation, Avon made his first money with various internet services back in the late 1990s. The future tech genius became a millionaire in the year 2000, being just 21 years old. That means that for most of his life, Avon has been financially very well off, which has gained him the opportunity to brilliantly use his mastermind on quite important world issues. In the 2000s, after having successfully sold his internet service providing companies, he decided to take up a next challenge, and that was to build a completely new electric car company which would lead the way in the development of electric cars not only in the United States but also competing with German, Japanese, Italian, Korean and Chinese automakers. And so the electric car company Coil was born. After years of development, Coil, with Avon being their CEO, came out with the world's first electric sports car, the Coil Voltic, quite a popular car in the streets of Los Santos. The car was mainly aimed for the upper class market, being sold for $150,000 through the legendary motorsports online dealership. The Coil Voltic can be seen in Los Santos, mainly in the high society neighborhoods including Richmond, Vinewood and downtown Los Santos. After the first car being a worldwide success, Coil also started developing other car models. In 2017, Coil came out with the Coil Cyclone, which is to this day the fastest car in a straight line in San Andreas and which can very well be considered the flagship model of the Coil brand. The Coil Cyclone is also the personal car of Avon himself, as we saw in the action of the Doomsday heist in winter of 2017, but we will get there later on in the video. A few months later, Coil also came out with another model called the Coil Raiden, which can be considered the four-door version of the Cyclone, being more of a family-friendly car. Nowadays, Coil has also expanded to other areas of high-level engineering, like developing the world's first electric hypercar. The Coil Cyclone 2 wasn't enough. Before that, Coil also got into electric bike manufacturing, producing the world's eco-friendliest electric bike called the Coil Inductor, and they also got into weapons manufacturing. To be exact, Coil got into weapon development business already in the early 2010s, after finishing the development and launch of the Coil Voltic, but its involvement in the weapons business wasn't made public until the year 2022. Some of the Coil produced weapons include the Combat BDW, the minigun, the railgun and the stun gun, all guns that also our online characters are operating. The official reason for the start of weapon manufacturing has never been revealed, but following logical concepts, it is clear that already in 2011, Avon knew of his plan to try and take over the world one way or another, and knowing he would never be able to order weapons at such quantities he needed from third-party weapon production companies without catching attention of the United States government, the IAA and the US military, his only option was to start developing the weapons himself. And that brings us to the biggest project of Avon's life, the attempt of dominating the United States and the whole Western Hemisphere using a supercomputer AI called Clifford for it. Actually, their preparations for such a takeover already started years before the Doomsday heist action. Somewhere between 2013 and 2015, Avon went to work in the IAA as a technology consultant, hoping to make connections in the most important government agency in the whole United States, which would make it easier to conquer the country later on. Unfortunately for him, the takeover via the IAA didn't exactly go as planned. Avon's super genius brain had forgotten one thing. Although he might be the smartest person in the world, it was quite literally unbearable to be in the same room as him because of his very bad personality and an annoying speech voice. That resulted in Agent 14 finally firing Avon from the IAA, which ruined Avon's initial plans and which made him hate the US governing system even more. Luckily for him, during that time, he had finally finished developing a supercomputer called called Clifford, which could help Avon take over the US. In 2017, Avon had also completed gathering himself a private army, secretly partnering up with Meriwether for it, and sourcing weapons from his own company Coil for the private military organization. And so it was finally time for the Doomsday heist action that I'm sure all of you watching are familiar with, but it is still good to freshen the memories a bit. Avon started with hiring Lester, our online character, and one of our associates to start gathering information about the so-called potential attack on the United States by either the Iranians, Chinese, Russians, or the Koreans.
Avon is worried that someone's trying to start a war.
I'm not worried about it. I'm certain of it. The only problem is, I just don't know who exactly. And worse, Clifford doesn't know who.
Clifford, that's his supercomputer.
It's a neural network of supercomputers. Clifford is a problem-solving facility. Say hello, Clifford.
You're embarrassing me, Avon. I'm blushing.
Give Clifford data and no more problem. Clifford was onto something, but now the data is gone.
Gone.
It has to be the Russians, or the North Koreans, or the Iranians, or the Chinese using a proxy agent. The fact is, if we cannot figure out who is behind these data breaches, then Clifford is useless.
He also tried to get his old friends from the IAA, including Agent 14 and his superior, Mrs. Phoenicia Rackman, in on this. But at first, the IAA stayed hesitant.
Hello? Who's this?
I'm calling you from a top-secret former government facility.
We told you to return to civilian life, Avon.
It was all a setup, shortstop.
Shortstop.
I always wanted to call someone that. Listen, you're going to get us all killed. It's as clear as the very natural-looking hair on my head.
What are you talking about?
They're not plugs. Don't you see that the fact that they told you to fire me proves beyond all reasonable doubt that you were wrong and this is a conspiracy? Let me give you an analogy.
Why are you talking like that? It really annoyed people when you were working on site.
I'm a visionary. I see things.
Listen, I'm running late to a departmental potluck, so...
Fuck your potluck! This is about stopping a fucking war!
Not that again. Goodbye, Avon. See you on planet Earth one of these days.
After our online character and our associate had helped clear the IAA secret base under the satellite relay station in the Grand Senora Desert from masked unknown terrorists via the help of Avon Hertz, the IAA also finally agreed to work alongside Avon and his supercomputer.
What's this cretin doing here?
Saving your life once again, but for the covert operation I financed, you'd all be dead and the country would be in the hands of, well, who exactly? That's the problem. This place has more leaks than a thing you dry salad in. But who and why? Can I log on to Clifford here?
Sure.
It's Russians. We know it's Russians. This attack is one of their signature moves.
That's the whole point, Mrs. Rackman. It's meant to look like Russians. We think it's not Russians because that would be too easy. Now, Clifford says that there's a 99% probability it is some Russians.
Not Iran?
Iran, no. Clifford says it's this man. Codename Bogdan, surname unknown.
And so after the terrorist attack that was actually secretly organized by Avon Hertz and his private army himself, he told the IAA and our online character that he has finally pinpointed the threat to the United States, which was a Russian nuclear submarine just a few miles from the coast of San Andreas. And of course, believing what Avon was saying, Lester organized an operation to go and neutralize the threat on the Russian submarine, which is where the truth about Avon was finally unleashed.
Listen, think about it. If you let insecure little egomaniac play God, then fake human brain he builds will be brain of insecure little egomaniac. My scientists have studied Clifford. Clifford is asshole.
The AI is an asshole.
Exactly. And him and Quartz want us to kill each other.
I don't believe a word of it.
Well, how did I make this up?
How indeed. Well, thank you, Bogdan. Thank you, Mr. Crest. Thank you, silent, psychotic peons. But this is where I say arrivederci. No, I mean, get ready. I mean, this is where I'm in charge. Me and Clifford. Go fuck yourselves, losers. Yes, losers.
Yes, we're in charge. Me and my dad. We're in charge. And this outdated low-tech submarine will self-destruct in 30 seconds.
I think you've got to get out of there quickly!
After the submarine incident, the IAA and Lester knew they had to act quick if they didn't want the whole United States to fall in the hands of Avon and Clifford that could hack all government websites and databases.
It turns out he wants to destroy humanity!
This is all your fault. My career is in ruins. Ruins!
Our planet will be in ruins, you fool, if we don't do something.
He has control of all your systems!
We can't even call out for help.
Then you can do exactly what you have to. You have my authority.
And we'll get paid?
Paid?
Yeah, call it pension contributions.
Of course, significant ones.
All right, then get this clown out of here. For all I know, you're bugged all to high hell and you don't even know the bugs exist!
Good luck.
Ha, we don't need luck! I always wanted to say that between us, we are completely fucked! Gah!
To neutralize the threat, which was then Avon and Clifford, our online character was sent into Mount Chiliad, where Avon had his main operation center located, and in the very end of the operation, it seemed like Avon was also killed by our online character. But although it looked like the jetpack Avon was using to escape from us was blown up and that Avon died via a fall to the ground, then the body of his was never discovered, which makes it still possible for Avon to actually have survived the attack on him. It is possible that Avon will be making a comeback in Vice City and the state of Leonida, which seems more and more like the main base of actions in the US in the next few years of GTA 6 action. But until that, we just have to wait and see if that will be the reality. Anyway, that is it for this video. If you enjoyed, make sure to also check out my other documentaries about the GTA universe, and see you in the next video.